Have faith. And have compassion with yourself through the fear that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid if you are expressing your love in a way that's unique to how you've expressed it in the past. It's different, it's new. It may not seem like you. But have compassion with yourself. Where does that fear stem from? What happened in your past where you tried to express your love in a boldly courageous way and you fell flat on your face? Everybody laughed at you. This is the moment to forgive yourself for that moment or those moments. To release the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame that is restricting you from loving fully, boldly, as you were meant to. Welcome to the Weekly Transit, your guide to understanding the current planetary and astral alignments. Together, we'll explore how to harness these cosmic frequencies, empowering you to reach your highest potential as you navigate the days ahead. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the Weekly Transit. This is the week of August 25th to the 31st, where we will be covering 9 transits highlighted by Venus's transit into Leo. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. If you are a regular or longtime listener, thank you for being here. I'm grateful for your commitment to being a part of this podcast, and I hope it's empowering you through the week. If you're curious to learn how any of these transits that we're going to be discussing in this episode are affecting you directly and how to work with these planetary energies to your benefit, I encourage you to contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. It is my purpose to support you, guide you, offer clarity, empower you, help you understand your astrological code so you can understand yourself, accept, appreciate, and love yourself. If you are inspired by the work we do together in your reading, I have a deeper program called the Cosmic Pathway that you can mention, and I can tell you what that's about, but I work with clients on a weekly basis to support and guide them through their lives. So let's get into the week. We begin the week with the highlight of the week, which might seem a bit anticlimactic to begin the week with the highlight, but you'll see as we go through the transits later in the week, they all build upon Venus's transit through Leo, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, transiting through the fixed fire sign, symbolized by the lion and ruled by the sun, the giver of light, life, and vitality. This is a very powerful, special transit when the goddess of love is moving through the sign that rules the heart. Leo rules the heart. Were you born with Venus in Leo? If you were born with Venus in Leo, leave a comment. Let us know what it's like to be someone who was born with Venus in Leo. What is your love nature like? I imagine it's bold, it's courageous, it's warm, it's loyal. These are the experiences that we will be having collectively as Venus transits through Leo from Monday, August 25th through to September 19th. This is a time to boldly express your love through words, actions, gifts, poetry. What is your love language? What is your love nature? How do you like to be loved? And how do you like to give love? When Venus transits through Leo, that love is amplified. But nothing is good or bad. Venus in Leo can create a sense of maybe selfishness, where things need to be my way. If you're going to love me, then you need to love me the way that I need you to love me. I mean, maybe you could say that for all the signs, but it feels like with Leo and the lion, if something is off about the love, if something is, if you're feeling ignored, there may be a sense of jealousy or vitriol. Or when love is strained, it may go cold like the black hole, which is the antithesis of the sun. That Leo energy can really light up a room, but it can also suck the energy out of a room. So Venus transiting through Leo is going to help us get to the heart of our love nature, the heart of our relationships. If you were born between 1983 and 1995, then there could be challenges for you as Venus transits through Leo, because during this period, August 25th to September 19th, depending on the degree of your Pluto, if you were born between 1983 and 1995, you were born with Pluto in Scorpio. Scorpio is fixed water. Leo is fixed fire. They're both fixed. They make a strong connection to each other, but fire boils water. Water extinguishes fire. Pluto's the god of death. Venus is the goddess of love. So during this period, August 25th to September 19th, if you were born between 1983 and 1995, you may be going through a very difficult transformation to your love nature. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad. Difficult isn't bad. I always kind of get ruffled when everyone's like, is that bad? Is that good? And it's like, it's not good or bad. It's all how you're working with the energy. What I'm sharing with you here is there are challenges ahead. When that challenge occurs depends on where Pluto was when you were born, if you were born between 1983 and 1995. Scorpio is symbolized by the scorpion, so the scorpion likes to hide in the corners, in the shadows, under the ground. But the light of Leo is pulling the scorpion out into the open. So maybe there's something about your relationships that are hidden that are being brought to light. They're being brought to light because the only way for them to transform is for them to be in the light. And this isn't just for people that were born between 83 and 95. If you were born with any key points or planets in Scorpio, then there are potential challenges to relationships during this time period, August 25th to September 19th. If you were born with key astrological points or planets in Taurus, Taurus is fixed earth, Leo fixed fire. They're both fixed, but fire scorches earth, earth extinguishes fire. Taurus likes to hold on to what it has. And Leo says, no, you need to give it to me. I'm the king. I'm the queen. Taurus says, no, but this is my stash. You can't tax me. So, if you were born with key astrological points or planets in Taurus, perhaps you're being called to give more. key astrological points or planets in Scorpio, you're being called to show more. So if you were born with key astrological points or planets in Taurus, and you willingly give more rather than try to cling to what you have in the face of love, which is asking for more, then there will be challenges. But if you're giving willingly, then those challenges, though it may feel difficult, it's not going to be as challenging as if you're resisting. Same with Scorpio. If you are holding on to the secret, if you are continuing to try to hide during this period, then you may be dragged out into the light against your will. But if you willingly go out on your own, even though it's uncomfortable, it's going to be a little smoother than if you are resisting. And of course, if you were born with key astrological points and planets in any of the air or fire signs, this may be a period where you're feeling invigorated by love. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius are the fire signs. Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini are the air signs. There is some tension with Aquarius and Leo because they do oppose each other. Both are fixed, but air fuels fire, fire raises the air, so there's a little more support there than there are with the squares between Taurus and Scorpio. But if you were born with key astrological points or planets in Aquarius, then the tension there is, Aquarius is the community. And this is saying, you know what? Think about yourself first. Think about your partner first. Put your partner and yourself before everyone else. And that might be hard for those who were born with key astrological points or planets in Aquarius, because the energy is saying it's not about them, it's about us, it's about me, it's about my partner. So I need to put us first before the group. Now, the last time that Venus transited through Leo was July 11th to August 4th, 2024. The time before that was June 5th to October 8th, 2023. The time before that was August 11th to September 4th, 2022. And the time before that was June 26th to July 21st, 2021. Think back to those dates for clues on what could be in store for you this time around as Venus, the goddess of love, transits through the sign of the lion. Check back through your photos, your social media posts, your text messages, what was going on in your life during the periods previous that Venus was transiting through Leo. Maybe that gives you some insight into what you might be experiencing between August 25th and September 19th. But the bottom line key to this transit is to open your heart to love fully, to be warm in your relationships, to create warmth. I want the ones that I love. My intention is I want the ones that I love to feel the warmth of my love. And I want to feel the warmth of their love as well. Whatever that means, whatever that warmth means to each individual, it's different. When you think of the love languages, some people like service, some people like gifts, some people like, what are the other ones? You know them. words of affirmation, whatever it is for you. That's how you show your warmth, and that's what it means to receive warmth. But it feels like the Leo, and I'm curious to know if there is anyone listening who was born with Venus in Leo. What is your love language? I'm imagining it's gifts. It's, the grand gesture, the grand or grandiose gesture that shows everyone that this is the person I love. Everyone can see, look how much I love them, because there's a lot of pride. Leo is about pride. The lion is not a part of a herd. The lion is a part of a pride. So there's a lot of pride in showing your love when Venus transits Leo. What makes you proud of the ones that you love? What makes them proud of you? These are the frequencies to follow as Venus transits through Leo. Which leads us to our second transit of the week, Venus in Leo, forming a trine with Saturn retrograde in Aries. This occurs from Monday to Wednesday, with the exact trine occurring as soon as Venus transits into Leo, Monday, August 25th. Saturn is the god of wealth and time, the planet of restriction, responsibility, hard work, achievement, and authority. It's transiting retrograde through the cardinal fire sign, symbolized by the ram and ruled by Mars, the god of war, Aries. This is about commitment. This is such a powerful time for you to commit to your relationships, to the ones that you're in relationship with. This is about clarity of, this is who I am. I'm taking responsibility for who I am. I'm taking responsibility to love myself. And I'm taking responsibility of what it means to love the one that I love. I'm taking responsibility for what it means to show love to the one that I love, or the ones that I love. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to authentically express your love? To each individual, it's different. It's unique. And there should be no judgment of how one loves versus how another loves, as if one is better than the other. Love is unique to each individual. What one wants to feel in feeling loved is different from another. Just as is what one wants to show in terms of showing love is different from another. This past weekend, if you're watching Delisa and I, the 5th generation psychic, who has been so kind to bring me onto her live, her platform on YouTube and Facebook for the last couple months, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you have been following us, and if you haven't, I put the link in the show notes for the most recent recording that we did. But we've had a lot of fun going on there live, and really cultivated a great community that does a lot of commenting in the chat. It's a lot of fun. Leo's about fun. But if you've been watching us, you know that last weekend I got married. For the first time in my life, I got married to Gabriella. We expressed our love to each other. And the way that we did it, I felt was very unique. And it was very unique to us. It was a very private, small ceremony. There was, I think, 15 people there, including Gabrielle and I and our photographer, Lauren. And it was perfect. For someone like me, who's a Scorpio, and Gabriella, was born with Venus in Scorpio, doing a small private ceremony to exchange our vows and express our love to each other was perfect. I just bring that up as an example of how one shows love to another is unique to that individual. So this Venus in Leo trine Saturn retrograde in Aries is about taking responsibility for how you love. Is your love authentic to you? In what ways are you showing your love that is courageously, authentically you? I feel like that's what I did last weekend. And it's like, even if I had all the money in the world, I would have still done the same ceremony. With 15 people out in front of the beautiful Santa Barbara courthouse where you can get married for free. It's like, wow, the fact that the city allows people to do that is such a gift. So this week, in the early part of this week, take responsibility for who you are and how you love, and what that means for who you love. The third transit of the week, Mercury exits its retrograde shadow in Leo on Monday, August 25th. Mercury is exactly where it was on July 17th. 15 degrees and 34 minutes in Leo. Mercury transited into its retrograde shadow on June 29th. The retrograde ended on August 11th. So where Mercury was on June 29th is where it was on August 11th. Where Mercury was on July 17th is where Mercury is on August 25th. So from June 29th to now, Mercury has been moving back and forth from 4 degrees and 14 minutes to 15 degrees and 34 minutes in Leo. We can finally do that collective exhale. Mercury's out of its shadow. Hopefully, as Mercury transits out of its shadow, our hearts open more fully, more confidently bold, with the ability to listen to what's being shared to us, with us, to be able to speak from the heart, to connect the heart to the mind. What brings you joy? What brings you joy, so much joy that you want to share it with everyone who crosses your path? Leo is the sign of joy, creativity, fun, playfulness. So what is inspiring you to share? What is inspiring you to listen? Now that Mercury has exited its retrograde shadow, this opens a new chapter. You want to add something to your list? Now's the time to do it. During the retrograde and the retrograde shadow, you don't want to add anything to your list or to your plate, whatever metaphor you choose. You want to clear your plate. So Gabriella and I had been together for 6.5 years. We're having twins. And yeah, getting married during the retrograde shadow felt completely appropriate because we were clearing that off of our plate. We've been committed together. We've been committed to each other for 6.5 years. There were no questions about, oh, are we going to stay together? It's just like, none of that. The marriage just solidified our commitment together. And that allowed us to clear that off the plate, off the list. So now we can move forward in our lives, in our relationship. Focus on new areas. What new areas would you like to focus on now that Mercury has transited out of its retrograde shadow? New areas that are opening your heart, that are making you smile or laugh. Bringing that sense of playfulness and fun, that childlike energy that invigorates you. Now's the time to shine with your words and in receiving the words of those that are shared with you. The fourth transit of the week, well, I should say the fourth, fifth, and sixth transits of the week, or even, fourth, fifth, and sixth transits of the week, all involve Leo, all involve Venus in Leo, aligning with Uranus in Gemini, Neptune retrograde in Aries, and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So for the last couple of months, since early July, we've been talking about these 4 outer planets. If you've been listening to the podcast here, the weekly transit, or if you've been listening to Delisa and I on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific on her YouTube channel or Facebook page, then you've heard ad nauseum me talking about Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, and Pluto in Aquarius. These 4 outer planets are all aligning with each other. It's very special. It's very unique. Go back 2,000 years, you can't find any instant of this occurring with these 4 planets in these 4 signs all aligning with each other at the same time. They're shifting us. They're changing us. They're moving us. They're urging us to be more expressive. Expressive in terms of ourselves. And to be open to the expression of others. To learn, to listen. So Venus first hits Saturn. That's on Monday. But on Tuesday, August 25th, on Tuesday, August 26th, Venus in Leo forms a sextile with Uranus in Gemini, a trine with Neptune, retrograde in Aries, and an opposition with Pluto, retrograde in Aquarius. These 3 transits are all occurring exact on Tuesday, August 26th, but we're feeling them from Monday to Wednesday, August 25th to the 27th. Uranus is the primordial sky god, the planet of revolution, rebellion, innovation, independence, and the unexpected. Gemini is the mutable air sign symbolized by the twins. Neptune is the god of fresh water and the sea, the planet of illusion, deception, compassion, and intuition. We know Aries is the same sign that Saturn is transiting through, retrograde, along with Neptune retrograde. Saturn is at 0 degrees in Aries. Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus are all at 1 degree. That's why their alignment with Venus forms an exact aspect on Tuesday as opposed to Monday with Saturn. Pluto, the god of death, lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation, transiting retrograde through the fixed air sign symbolized by the water bearer, ruled by Saturn and Uranus, Aquarius. I'm not sure if I mentioned Gemini, the planetary ruler. For those that don't know, is Mercury, the messenger of the gods. So Uranus transiting through Gemini is enlightening our minds. The planet of revolution in the sign of consciousness and communication, coordination. Venus in Leo forming a sextile to Uranus in Gemini. This is so exciting. I feel excited by this because it feels like the gift here is to open yourself up to really express the love that exists within you in a radically different way. Where the ones that you love are like, wow, I didn't realize you felt that way. Or you've never expressed your love to me in that way. It feels special. It's different. It feels special because it's different. It's not the norm of how you would express your love. So how can you express your love differently early this week to those that you love? Where it might really shock them in the most amazing, wonderful way. Venus in Leo forming a trine with Neptune, retrograde in Aries, is helping facilitate the aspect to Uranus and Gemini. It's like if you're going to have the bold courage to express your love in a radically different way, in order to do so, you need to be compassionate with yourself. That I deserve to express love in the way that I want to express love. Like, this is my fantasy. You know, I've always had this fantasy that the ones that I love, that I would show them my love in this way. But I'm too afraid. I'd be embarrassed. What if they don't receive it in the way that I envision them to? What if they don't receive it? What if I'm embarrassed? This aspect between Venus and Leo and Neptune and Aries is saying, have faith. Have faith. And have compassion with yourself through the fear. That it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid if you are expressing your love in a way that's unique to how you've expressed it in the past. It's different, it's new. It may not seem like you. But have compassion with yourself. Where does that fear stem from? What happened in your past where you tried to express your love in a boldly courageous way and you fell flat on your face? Everybody laughed at you. This is the moment to forgive yourself for that moment or those moments. To release the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame that is restricting you from loving fully, boldly, as you were meant to. Venus, forming the opposition with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, this is a tense aspect. This is what we were talking about in terms of Leo and Aquarius. Leo is the king and Aquarius is the kingdom. Leo is about me. Aquarius is about we, meaning we, society. So what is it about your love nature that needs to change or transform so that you can love more fully within the presence of others? It takes a lot for me to talk about my relationship with Gabriella on this podcast. It's a little easier with Delisa because she's a friendly face and a friendly energy. But for me to talk about my marriage and my wedding on the podcast, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I like to keep things private. But with these aspects, I feel called to be more open. And Pluto in Aquarius is about opening up. Aquarius is the sign that rules homosexuality. Because when you think of Aquarius, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. And if you look at the symbol for Uranus, it's literally the symbol for Venus flipped upside down. So it's how you love different from the norm. It's about being non-conforming. And we know the phrase that's associated with homosexuality, coming out of the closet. And so Venus in Leo opposite Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is maybe encouraging all of us to come out of the closet with our love. To be bold in sharing our love and our expressions of love in view of others, the group, the club, the organization, the social network, the social cause. It's about saying, yes, this is my bold expression of love in front of everybody's watching here. So, I guess that's one of the weird or interesting things about our wedding is, there's only 15 people there, but it was literally like in public view. People might have been walking by on the sidewalk or driving down the street next to where we were. I was focused in on Gabriella. I was just in her eyes, looking at the reflection of myself in her eyes. That's where my focus was. But it was in public. It wasn't a private venue. Anyone could have walked by, driven by, and seen us. But we had everyone circle around us, so we felt like we were in this little cocoon of love. And when we said our vows, they all held hands. So we felt protected. But what does that mean for you? In what way can you love more openly? In what ways can you express your love to the ones that you love more openly or in view of others? So this is the beginning of the week. This is what sets the tone for the entire week. The 7th transit of the week, I'm going to talk about briefly because the 7th transit of the week is the topic of my Substack essay for the week. If you enjoy the essay, which I will read at the end, I encourage you to subscribe to my Substack. The link is in the show notes. You'll be able to read it there. There's also the audio version there as well. But this involves Uranus and Gemini forming a sextile to Neptune retrograde in Aries. This aspect between Uranus and Gemini and Neptune retrograde in Aries occurs from July 7th, when Uranus transited into Gemini, to October 23rd, when Neptune retrogrades out of Aries. This Thursday, August 28th, is when they form the exact sextile. Just want to check one thing. Yep, okay, cool. Yeah. It's actually October, It's October 22nd. October 22nd is when, October 22nd is when Neptune transits back into Pisces. So July 7th to October 27th, Uranus in Gemini is forming a sextile to Neptune retrograde in Aries. The last time that Uranus in Gemini formed a sextile to Neptune in Aries was 1405 BC. So it's been almost 3,500 years since these two planets were in these two signs aligning with each other. What? Whew. That feels big. I'm not too sure what that means historically. I mean, history of 1405 BC is kind of vague. But, dig around, see what you can find. But this is reimagining the dream of who we are through our new conscious reality. It's powerful. It's poignant. This is a wake-up call to the nth degree. July 7th to October 22nd. With the exact sextile, August 28th. What are you waking up to right now? In what ways are you waking up to yourself? In what ways are you seeing the world from a different perspective? What are you learning? What is shifting within your conscious reality? Like the clouds moving through the sky, creating clarity, bringing about new dreams. The 8th transit of the week, the sun in Virgo, square the moon in Sagittarius. This is the half moon in Sagittarius, which occurs at 11:25 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time on Saturday, August 30th. The sun is the giver of light, life, and vitality, Virgo is the mutable earth sign symbolized by the Virgin and ruled by Mercury, the messenger of the gods. The moon is the planet of emotions, transiting through the mutable fire sign symbolized by the archer and ruled by Jupiter, the god of thunder, in Sagittarius. There's tension with the half moon. One side light, the other side dark. And the tension here is between the minutiae of the details and the big picture. Virgo is all about the details, and Sagittarius is about the big picture. Sometimes if you're focusing too much on the big picture, you're missing the details. And sometimes if you're focusing too much on the details, you're missing the big picture. So this half moon in Sagittarius is creating that tension in order to bring us into a center point where you're able to maintain the big picture but not lose sight of each and every little step that needs to be taken in order to bring that big picture into reality, while at the same time not losing sight of the big picture when we are focused on the mundane steps that are required to bring that big picture into reality. Perhaps you're feeling tension regarding frequencies of faith, health, diet, routine. Are you feeling a bit neurotic? Are you being overly analytical? And then that's causing you to delve into indulgence? What can you do to find the in-between those points? That's the focus for this half moon. So the week starts out, I think it's going to feel good at the beginning of the week, and then by the time we get to the end of the week, there's tension. Because things are really going to be flowing with all this fire and air and open expression of love and joy, and I love this person so much, and let me show them, and then all of a sudden, tension. Tension regarding how are we going to get this done? How are we going to do this? How's it possible? Have faith. Faith is found through the minutiae. God is in the details. God is that expansive energy, and Virgo is the details. Such a unique relationship between Sagittarius and Virgo, because I find them to be both very spiritual signs. You know, Virgo is the Virgin. And when I think of the Virgin, I think of the great Virgo nun, Mother Teresa, who herself was born with the sun in Virgo. But Sagittarius is the priest. It's the person who stands at the pulpit, the professor, the pastor, the public speaker, the person that has the knowledge and is willing to share the wisdom of their knowledge. Where the Virgo energy says, okay, I received the knowledge, but I'm going to take that knowledge and I'm going to put it into service. Faith through service. Through giving to others. So there's a real powerful connection between these two signs. On one hand, you're channeling through the energy of God. You're channeling through the energy of God with Sagittarius, but Virgo is bringing that God into reality. That I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to serve you. The final transit of the week, Mercury in Leo forms a trine with Chiron, retrograde in Aries. Wow. Is that real? Man, Mercury is cooking now that it's moved out of its retrograde shadow. I mean, seriously? Sometimes I have to double check this. I'm like, am I reading this right? Okay, so on Monday, Mercury's at 15 degrees. And then by the time we get to Sunday, Mercury's at 26 degrees. So Mercury moves 11 degrees this week, and that makes sense because that's what Mercury does when it's moving at its normal pace. But it's, when you're coming out of that retrograde, you're used to it just not moving, and then now all of a sudden it's moving. So Monday, it's at 15 degrees, moving out of its retrograde shadow. By the time we get to Sunday, August 31st, Mercury's at 26 degrees and is forming that trine, supportive aspect with Chiron, the wound, and the ancient wisdom, which is unlocked through healing that wound in Aries, cardinal fire, symbolized by the ram, ruled by the god of war, Mars. This transit occurs from Saturday to Monday, August 30th to September 1st. Whew, what a way to cap the week. Fire exchange. After we get through that tension of the half moon in Sagittarius, something opens up. This is, again, I'm like a broken record, but it's a bold expression of authenticity. Speaking from your heart, listening from your heart, but doing so in a way that maybe you wouldn't have in the past because you would have been afraid to do so. You would have been afraid to listen. You would have been afraid to speak up. You would have been afraid to share verbally what you were actually feeling in your heart because you were afraid. Chiron in Aries is about facing your fears, facing your insecurities. Mercury in Leo says, I'm the lion. I fear nothing. I am the king of the jungle. I have no one to fear. I am an apex predator. Wow. So much power in this week. I really feel like you have the opportunity to shine. And if you're going through a challenge right now, that's when you need to shine the most. This is giving you the courage to, if you're in the cave and it's like you're hammering through and then all of a sudden that crack comes through and there's a sliver of light. And you're like, I see it. There's an opening here. I'm going to get through. Gonna get through. Bold, open, fully open heart. Listening from the heart, connecting the heart to the mind, speaking from the heart, facing fears and insecurities and saying, I'm the lion. And I'm the benevolent king. I love you. I'm the benevolent queen. I love you. Sometimes that love is tough. Sometimes it's more generous than others. But this is about breaking through. Breaking through whatever has been restricting you. And so that leads us back to Uranus in Gemini, Sextile, Neptune in Aries. When vision meets revolution, 200 years of Uranus-Neptune alignments. When lightning in the mind touches the dream in the soul, history bends. Uranus disrupts, Neptune dissolves. Together, they ignite revolutions not only of nations, but of myths, beliefs, and imagination itself. The myth, Uranus and Neptune. In the ancient imagination, Uranus was the endless sky, Neptune, the boundless sea. They were brothers, two primordial realms, one above and one below, both infinite, both untamable. The sky thunders with lightning, sudden and shocking. The sea whispers in tides and dreams, dissolving everything it touches. When these brothers move in harmony, heaven and ocean converse. Ideas, once unthinkable, are imagined. Visions, once impossible, are suddenly invented. Their alignments are rare, but when they come, humanity awakens as if caught between storm and wave. The mind electrifies, the soul floods, and civilization remakes its myths. The archetypes. Uranus, the sky god, erupts with rebellion, innovation, and upheaval. Neptune, the god of the sea, dissolves boundaries with vision, illusion, and transcendence. When their currents align, the result is not always violent, but it is always transformative. Over the past 2 centuries, Uranus and Neptune have completed a full cycle. Conjunctions, sextiles, squares, trines, and oppositions. Each encounter has coincided with seismic shifts in culture, technology, and spirituality. Each time, humanity's collective imagination was rewritten. 1821. Conjunction in Capricorn. The modern cycle began with Uranus and Neptune united in Capricorn, the sign of institutions and structures. Across the globe, the old order faltered. In Latin America, Bolivar and San Martin shattered colonial chains. In March 1821, Greece rose against Ottoman rule just as the planets aligned. In Britain, labor reform and public health debates gained traction. The Romantics, Byron, Shelley, fused myth with revolution, igniting visions of transcendent freedom. The seed was planted. Society itself could be rebuilt. 1853 to 1855. Sextile in Taurus and Pisces. Matter met spirit. Uranus in Taurus advanced mechanization, while Neptune in Pisces dissolved boundaries through mysticism and faith. The spiritualist movement surged with seances and visions, even as engineers prepared the first transatlantic telegraph cable. Mystical voices and coded signals leapt across the void. For the first time, humanity imagined instantaneous connection, both spiritually and technological. Meanwhile, the Crimean War became the first modern war, employing telegraphic communication and industrialized weaponry. 1868 to 1870, square in Cancer and Aries. Dreams collided with blood. The American Civil War had ended, but Reconstruction burned with unfinished struggle. In Europe, Italian and German unifications hardened under nationalist visions. The Franco-Prussian War erupted in July 1870, precisely as the final square perfected. In Japan, the 1868 Meiji Restoration shattered feudal tradition in favor of modern nationhood. Neptune's ideals met Uranus's rebellion, and identity was forged in fire. 1880 to 1882. Trine in Virgo and Taurus. A flowering of science and spirit. The Second Industrial Revolution surged forward. Electricity, steel, and oil reshaped daily life. In Virgo, Uranus systemized labor and invention. In Taurus, Neptune wove dreams of material abundance and security. Edison's electric light illuminated cities. The Brooklyn Bridge opened. Yet as positivism and science advanced, mystical societies like Theosophy also flourished. Progress became both mechanical and metaphysical. 1906 to 1908. Opposition in Capricorn and Cancer. Institutions faced the masses. Uranus in Capricorn shook governments and empires, while Neptune in Cancer stirred nationalism and belonging. Labor strikes erupted worldwide. The 1905 Russian Revolution had already shaken the Tsarist Empire. Suffragettes demanded rights. The Young Turk Revolution transformed the Ottoman Empire in 1908. Meanwhile, Einstein's theory of relativity redefined the cosmos itself. The progressive era reformed industry and politics. Dreams of equality and dignity tested the weight of entrenched power. 1939 to 1942. Innovation channeled into war. World War II erupted just 2 months after the first exact trine. Radar, computing, and nuclear research advanced at breakneck speed. Yet Virgo and Taurus also grounded breakthroughs in medicine, agriculture, and global coordination. Out of devastation, the blueprint for the United Nations was drawn. Even as bombs fell, visions of planetary order gestated. 1954 to 1956. Square in Cancer and Libra. Polarization hardened. Uranus in Cancer electrified national identity and security. Neptune in Libra dissolved illusions of global harmony. The Cold War intensified with the Warsaw Pact. At home, the U.S. Civil Rights Movement erupted. The Montgomery bus boycott began in December 1955, right in the heart of this square. Abroad, colonial empires crumbled as the Suez Crisis unfolded in 1956. Ideals of justice collided with systems of division. Dreams were tested and often distorted. 1966 to 1968. Sextile in Virgo and Scorpio. The Summer of Love, Civil Rights, Psychedelic Awakenings, Space Exploration. This sextile unleashed a flowering of consciousness, art, music, mysticism, and protest all at once. Virgo's analysis fused with Scorpio's transformation, genetics, molecular biology, and spiritual revolutions. The human be-in of January 1967 embodied the mood. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in April 1968, just as the final aspect perfected. The flowering was ecstatic and tragic. 1993. Conjunction in Capricorn. The cycle renewed. Uranus and Neptune joined again in Capricorn as the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union dissolved. Globalization surged, NAFTA, the EU, and the WTO reshaped world systems. The World Wide Web launched, wiring humanity's nervous system together. New Age spirituality blossomed. A collective dream of one world, one system, one network took root. The seeds of our current moment was planted. 2025 to 2027. Sextile in Gemini and Aries. Uranus and Neptune align in an exact sextile 5 times between August 25th, 2025 and June 6th, 2027. This is the first of those 5 times. Now comes the flowering. Uranus in Gemini electrifies language, communication, AI, and networks. Neptune in Aries dissolves identity, faith, and the very boundaries of self. This is our 1967 moment, a cultural renaissance, an ideological rupture all at once. The echoes resound. 1853 to 55, Taurus, Pisces sextile. Then, the telegraph and seances promise voices across the void. Now, quantum internet and brain, computer interfaces deliver it. 1939 to 42, Taurus, Virgo, Trine. Then, code breaking and computing rose from war. Now, AI accelerates at conflict speed, demanding new global governance. 1966 to 68, Virgo, Scorpio sextile. Then, psychedelics redefine freedom. Now, digital, psychedelia, and identity fluidity force us to ask, who are we? When every mask can be simulated, every truth contested. Then, psychedelics redefined freedom. Now, digital, psychedelia, and identity fluidity force us to ask who we are, when every mask can be simulated and every truth contested. This sextile is not collapse, but opportunity, a chance to speak new myths into being. Like the 1960s, art will surge, protest will swell, and new voices will rise. But like the 1940s, the technologies born now will shape the architecture of global order for decades. We are entering the flowering stage of the 1993 cycle. What was once a seed, the internet, as a collective dream, now blooms into a labyrinth of AI, networks, and digital imagination. Will it be a renaissance of truth or a hall of mirrors? The pattern revealed. Each alignment carries its signature. Conjunctions, 1821, 1993. Seeds of new myths in Capricorn restructuring the restructuring of institutional reality. Sextiles, 1853, 1966, 2025. Flowerings of creativity and breakthrough. Matter and spirit dancing together in harmony. Squares, 1869, 1955. Ideals clashing with reality, the friction that births both revolution and reaction. Oppositions, 1907. the tension of extremes, establishment versus populace, order versus chaos. Trines, 1881, 1941. Harmonious synthesis, technology and vision flowering as one current. Seed, integration, friction, tension, flowering, renewal. A rhythm as old as the gods, written in celestial clockwork, 2 centuries of transformation. Closing reflections. The precision is startling. Wars erupt as aspects perfect. Revolutions climax on exact alignments. Technologies emerge as planets separate. Yet this is not fatalism. It is a recognition that human consciousness pulses in rhythm with larger cosmic currents. Questions for our moment? What dream am I willing to live, not just imagine? Where am I mistaking illusion for vision? What myth am I carrying forward into the future? Because when Uranus and Neptune align, the world does not simply change. It dreams itself anew. 1821 planted the seed, 1993 rewrote the code, and 2025 to 27, the flower blooms. The question is not whether the dream will awaken. The question is, whose dream will it be? I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you feel empowered by this message as it guides you through the week. If you're still listening and you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to this video and this channel. Give us a positive rating, write a positive review. All of your support is appreciated. I wish you all the best through the week, and I will look forward to reconnecting with you next week. Thank you for listening to the Weekly Transit. If you're curious to learn how these transits or any other transits may be affecting you, or if you're interested in learning more about your astrological code, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog Lyman. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.